So I'm starting on the second page again, and I had already gone through some of this with you guys, and I want to reiterate what the rule is when we have tangent lines that meet. Okay? Tangent lines that meet, this is a tangent line and this is a tangent line. When they meet, they are congruent. These two segments right here are congruent. So I'm going to mark the congruent segments even before I put the values in. I need to understand which of these are congruent. So I'm going to use the green out here. These two segments are congruent. And it starts from here and goes here. Starts from where it touches a circle and goes here. And then the same thing holds true for these guys down here. So this segment is congruent to this segment. And last but certainly not least, we have the blue that are congruent there and there. And my circle isn't perfect, so my tangent lines aren't perfect, but you get the drift. And I need you to understand this because this is a huge concept. This the same thing holds true with the square, and we know it's a square by this. If they labeled, so this they labeled as 8, and this they labeled as 8. The only way for that to happen is that if all of these were 8. The only way I can make this and this absolutely the same length is to make it a square. And I just need you to understand that. That's why they put that in there. If we understood that this is 8 and that's 8, you know, even though they have an expression in here, and I think it's 2x, but they say that the side length is 16. We now know that this is equal to this, so it has to equal 8 at some point. And if this is 8 and this is 8 and that's 16, then this has to be 8. And if this has to be 8, you get the drift. It's a square. And so they tell you it's a square. All you really need to do is the simple math of finding 2x equals 8. Rewriting it, and then doing the math on it, and x equals 4. All right, so x equals 4 was the first part, and everybody did the first part. Everybody found x on this second section, but not everybody read the second half of the instruction, which was to find the perimeter. I'm coming back to this in a minute, but I want you to be able to find the perimeter. If this is 8 and x is 4, that works out. Well, what's 16 times 4? Because there are 4 sides to a square. All right, 16 times 4, 16 and 16 and 16 and 16. Well, let's just do 16 times 4, and that has to be 64. Right? And you can figure that out on your own. You can do the math on your own. You can add up all the sides on your own. You can put 8s all the way around, and you'd have 8 of them. By the way, it's 8 times 8, which would be 64, but it's also 16 times 4. All right? So you have that information. That information is going to help you out with this. I want to go back to the triangle, because the triangle is labeled a certain way, and I want you to be able to understand how you got to this point here. And I already did number 1 for you on that page. I want to talk about number 2. Number 2 says that the total length of one of these sides, and it doesn't look like this, but I need you to understand, I'm not going to rewrite a triangle to show you. But you have every bit of information that you need in number 2, because they say that this whole side here, the whole side length here is 26. Okay, that's really cool, because that 26 is made up of this segment and this segment, And we're going to be able to find this segment, and we're given this segment, and we can do all of this work. We're given a 16 down here, and we're given a 14 over here. Well, that's really cool, because if I know this is 16, then this right here has to be 16, because it's also red. These two segments are tangential, and they have to be congruent. I just stated that when we started this video. So if I know that this is 16 and this is 16, and the total is 26, all I have to do is subtract 16 from 26, right? The total is 26, and that's going to be equal to 16 plus my unknown up here. So all I do is subtract 16 from both sides. Oops, not yet. There's my equal sign. There's an x. And 26 minus 16 is 10. So I know that this is 10, and you probably knew it already. You probably could understand it already, but I need you to understand that these segments are congruent. And if you need to color code it, go ahead. It's up to you to figure out a method to get yourself to understand this. And it's dreadfully important. So now I know these two values cold. I know it because I've been given their congruent segments. So if I get rid of this, I know the green segment is 10. I just solved for it. The blue segment I was given in the beginning, it's 14. So if I go ahead and add all those up, I have my perimeter. I don't need to say it's 26 plus 24 plus 30. I can. But, you know, hey, why not? But why not go ahead and add them all up? We can do that. We can do 16 plus 10 plus 10 plus 14 plus 14 plus 16. And, okay, that's not bad. We have 26, 36, 50, 64, 80. Did I do it right? I think I did. 26 and 24 is 50. Plus 30 is 80. Yeah, we got it right. So that's how you get there. And that's how you solve every single one of those problems. Even if the shapes are irregular. Look at where the segments meet. And those two segments are congruent. You have to make sure you remember that. I'm making these videos for you guys. If you don't use them, you may not know. All right? Thank you for your time. I'm sorry these videos are long, but I need to get all that information in.